Hello, House of Master Reviews is back and ready to do a new review. Now, I said I'd get this done earlier, but unfortunately, I had a severe case of laryngitis the past week, so I wasn't able to film this until now. But better, here we go. Let's talk about a movie I've been wanting to review on this channel for a while. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Yeah. This is something I've been aiming to talk about at some point. I've always had in mind I was going to review a Don Bluth film again at some point on this channel as well. To be honest, in terms of Don Bluth's filmography, the ones I've done, I reviewed. The only theatrical film I've reviewed of his is Tiny, because the only other things I've done are the small one, which was a short, and the first Dragon Slayer video game. So, yeah, long time coming. But, what do I think of All Dogs Go to Heaven? Well, as many of you know who follow Don Bluth, this was seen as his last good film until, especially because obviously this closed out the 80s. And those who know how he went in the 90s will know he took a massive downward spiral with his quality of his films. Even in some circumstances, his animation, but the animation of these films. But yeah, I mean, his next four films after this were all really bad, strange, and mediocre, or just insufferable. Yeah, he did get a bit of a second chance with Anastasia and Tiny, but his major issue in his directing career, budget, money, I should say, in finance, always found its way to reel back in. And this was also a box office bomb account because it came out the exact same day as a little Disney film known as The Little Mermaid. Yeah, so this got nuked big time. That's why many people consider this the end of Don Bluth's golden era. But those who watch it know this is a really, I mean, not just being financially trounced by Little Mermaid is one thing. This was critically panned by critics and compared unfavorably to The Little Mermaid, which is unfair because these are vastly different stories. But Mermaid is a much better told story. Yeah, let's just discuss the plot. The film follows Charlie B. Barkin, voiced by Burt Reynolds, a German Shepherd who runs a casino in New Orleans with his co-partner Carface, played by I think it was Vic Taylor, if I'm correct. It might be Charles Nelson Riley. I got two mixed up of him and his psychic. He's broken out of the pound by his best friend Itchy, played by the close friend of Burt Reynolds, Don DeLuise, who was also in a lot of Don Bluth films. And he returns to his old to his casino, but Carface wants Charlie out of the picture to have all the funds to himself, so he gets him drunk and kills him in a car crash. Charlie wakes up in heaven, but he doesn't want to be in heaven. He wants to be kept surprised and wants the thrill of action. So he steals the watch that shows of his entire life and turns the clock back to bring himself back to life, all while, even though he's been told not to, because those who leave heaven, when who leave heaven and return to life can no longer come back. And it's sort of it's important for dogs to do that because all dogs go to heaven, like um, Charlie's determined to get revenge on Carface by ruining his business. He discovers that Carface is able to thrive because he has well, a special keepsake, a young little girl who has the ability to talk to animals, called Anne Marie. Carly and Itchy break Anne Marie from Carface's dungeon and plan to use her talent to win races, win time money, and help Charlie, rise in the gambling world while dealing with Carface trying to catch kill him again and get the girl, and the girl wanting to find a real family, and also face the alligator, which, yeah, we'll talk about the alligator. Like, those who know this will know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to explain, kind of hard to. We'll get to that, but let's start off. Let's get over with the big problem with this: the plot. It makes no sense, none whatsoever. And I'm not just saying that because of the writing. Even, I mean, the writing in this isn't perfect. There are some good things, but a lot of the best lines in this are the moments that Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise ad-libbed, honestly. I mean, Reynolds did think this was a decent script, but yeah, the ad-libbing, while great also, I think also impacted the story a bit because, yeah, it also doesn't help. There are so many movies that this film rips off. The most notable is It's a Wonderful Life, and yeah, that movie was much well written than this. No, sorry, plot details that just, well, make absolutely no sense and barely explained and get written down for large chunks of the movie and get brought back in inopportune times. And, I mean, also, yeah, and I think this film is way too fast paced at times. I mean, I could defend the Super Mario Bros. Movie fine. This I have a problem with because I don't get any explanation for anything, really. Outside of a few things that are told visually, and you've seen that, make the characters talk, explain things I don't quite get. I really don't. And of course, let's talk about the main problem, and then there's the main character, who I just want to say he's not a good role model for kids. And some critics, I think, people can downright say he's absolutely terrible. This dog is an absolute devil of a character. I mean, yet he's going to learn his lesson and he's going to grow to love the girl and vow to protect her, even though even at the cost of his own life and ending up in hell. But yeah, he is at the very beginning. He is not a good character to follow, but you do at the very least sympathize with. You do want to see him get revenge on the guy who killed him at the very least. Yeah, and to say the title "All Dogs Go to Heaven," I mean, if that wasn't the title, you can wonder why this dog here would end up going to heaven in the first place. Yeah, I just we need to get that part out, but I guess we'll mention the songs later, but there are some good things in it. Let's start with the big thing, which is the animation. I mean, Don Bluth films always were well animated. The only exception being Pebble and the Penguin, but that's because it was outsourced by MGM. So yeah, there is that. But overall, it still looks beautiful and it's fantastic, colorful, and a bit dark at some moments too. Yeah. Um, I will be. I like how the animation looks in this. The next thing that's supposed to be one of the big pros in this is actually the voice acting. I think all the actors do a really good job in this. But the two main ones in particular are Burt Reynolds. It's really interesting how, even though the character Charlie is an absolutely unlikable character, Burt still finds a way to give a bit of a charm to it. I mean, it's not his best performance, but I think that his only voice role, he did a really good job. Thumbs up. And then there's Judith Barcy as Anne Marie. I'm going to discuss a bit more about this later, but yeah, she was fantastic in this. She was also Ducky in the Land full time, so she worked again with Don Bluth on this a year later, and yeah, it was a really good performance, and yeah, we'll get to that fact later. Um, in fact, the ending in particular is a very heartwarming piece, and yeah, considering everything, right? Yeah. The songs have been interesting. Half of them are good, half of them aren't. Like some, they are. You can remember a few things in it, but the only two I think really stand out to me are "You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down" and I would say, and the end love survives. Again, we'll talk. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to that. And then there's the big lipped alligator. Yeah, that's one of the weirdest images in animated history, and, but many people say it comes down. No way, not exactly. It's actually set up that Carface is an alligator. He feeds some people he doesn't like to earlier. It's just a shock of what the character looks like, and of course he sings and that, and a bit feminine, but a bit of you know, you know, feminine. It's different. So not sure if this would fly nowadays, but for what it is, it's all right. That's the guy who voiced the alligator is later voiced Oogie Boogie in A Nightmare Before Christmas. So he did pretty well, honestly. I liked it. Now let's get on to the thing I wanted to talk about with this. I'm gonna say for now, just stop watching it because I am gonna touch on some serious subject. So yeah, I would recommend now you stop watching the review. So this was the last film to feature Judith Glassy. She sadly passed away a few months before this was released. In fact, actually, yeah, according to some pages, it says actually a few months even either before or after the release of Land Full Time. Now, if you want to know what exactly happened, she was murdered. Um, it's a really tragic story, and how and why she was murdered, and even her whole life. And you hear about the stories of how her her life at home sort of played into her auditions. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is the truth. If this happened during her auditions with this and Lamb Full Time, but she apparently when she because of the problems at home. I mean, she was a 10-year-old, but she actually apparently pulled out her all her eyelashes. Like I mean, yeah, it's it's also when you hear the final scene and knowing exactly what happened. I mean, I know Burt Reynolds' is dead now, and as is Dom DeLuise, but even watching it, knowing that Judah Barcy had already died, I mean, by then it's just, oh, I think it impacts you more, even more so when you look into it. But honestly, I would not recommend looking into it if you're ultra sensitive or what I would say maybe, I don't know, younger than 14, because it will really surprise you what exactly happened. Um, yeah, my recommendation is that you look, if you are to look at it, look at it in extreme caution. It it really is tragic. There is no dedication in this, as far as I'm aware, in the credits to Judith. But the song at the end, "Love Survives," which I think is the best song in it, is dedicated towards her. It was written in the wake of her death and pays tribute to her. Um, and yeah, yeah. I I know I don't usually go on record to talk about stuff like this, but honestly, at time, I think a lot of people who talk about this film have to try and talk about mention in some way. It it really is. Yeah, yeah. As I said, don't look at it if you're ultra sensitive to stories like this, and um, when it comes to child child murders and you know, domestic violence and well, and as I said, if you're below the age of 14, don't look into what happened. Of all the things I would recommend, the only other thing I wouldn't recommend anyone below the age of 14 should see is the image of smallpox on the Wikipedia page. So, that's something to talk about another time. But yeah, just with discretion, don't look at it um, until you're at least the age of 14. But anyway, All Dogs Go to Heaven is a decent film, I think. But honestly, I kind of think I prefer Tiny more than this. Just saying, in terms of what I've reviewed before Don Bluth films. I mean, this is better than something like Tron Central Park or Rockadoodle or Thumbelina. But yeah, it's not perfect. But for what it is, it's pretty good. It didn't need to be destroyed by The Little Mermaid, both critically and financially. But for what it is, it's decent. It's a 6 out of 10 hat stars for me. Worth your time to take a look into at some point. So what's next? Well, got some reviews to get done of films that have been released in theaters. In fact, this my next review shouldn't take too long actually to be made. So keep watch. That won't be too long. In the meantime, Hassel from Hassel Reasons out, and I shall see you for my next video. Ciao.